Morning. Myself, Dr. Sharad Kumar, Department of Wildlife Sciences, Aligarh Muslim University. Today I am presenting a talk on scat analysis as a tool to determine the feeding habits of carnivores. I have organized my talk into four sections: introduction, collection of scats, laboratory analysis of scats, data analysis. Introduction. Food availability and its utilization is one of the important factors influencing the distribution of the wild animals. Designing and implementation of management strategies for the conservation of wild animals require the information on the food and feeding habits of the wild animals. In case of carnivores, prey population control the distribution and population of predators, but at the same time, predator control the population of predator. They will not allow the drastic increase in the population of prey species. In absence of predator, the population of prey species will increase drastically, which have negative impact on the forest functionings. Understanding of prey predator or consumer predator dynamics is essential to understand the functioning of forest ecosystem is and crucial to maintain the equilibrium in the nature. Knowledge of diet spectrum and feeding habits is essential to tailor the better management studies for the conservation of wild animals in their natural habitat. There are various techniques available to study the food habits of carnivores like direct observation, gut content analysis, and extra. If we are taking the example of direct observation on kill, then direct observation on kill provide biased result towards the large prey species, as it is easy to find out the large prey species in comparison of the small prey species, as most of the small prey species are completely eaten by the predator and remains of these species are not found in the field. So, scat analysis is an effective tool to know the feeding habits of carnivores, and it is extensively used by the various biologists all over the world to determine the feeding habits of carnivores. Collection of scats. So, how we can do the collection of scats from the field? Collection of scats. So, how we can collect the scats from the field? To collect the scats from the field, systematic regular searches will be made in the field. The person who are supposed to collect from the scats from the field cover all areas spread over the whole study period. So we can cover all areas. We can divide the area into various parts and we search all areas. And these searches are spread over the whole study period. To find out the scats or to collect the scats, knowledge of species behavior and ranging pattern is essential, as knowledge of ranging pattern and behavior of species can help in collecting the scats. For example, that some species has the behavior to have their scats on the higher places, while some species has the behavior that they use their scats to mark their territories. Territorial species such as the most of the cats use their scats to mark their territories. So all roads and trails should be searched, as most of the cat species deposit their scats on these trails and road to mark their territories. And scat, the search for the scats should be done season wise so that we can have the skates for all the seasons. And at the time of collection of the skates, date, region, geographic coordinates, place, and major habitat in which the skate is found should be recorded in the diary, which will be later on passed on to the data section. Skates should be collected in polythene Ziploc bags, and researchers should wear the gloves because there are some chances of spread of some diseases from the wild animals to humans. So we should take care of our safety also. If the scat is very fresh and wet, then before storing the scat in polythene Ziploc bag, it should be dried near the research station and put into the polythene Ziploc bag. Correct identification of scats is very important to determine the unwise feeding habits of carnivores. So researchers is able to identify correctly the predator for each scats. For the proper identification, first we should start this collection of scat from the known kill sites of carnivores and record at the time of the collection, record the physical features of scats, which can be later on utilized to identify the scats in the field. Physical features like size, physical appearance, and quantity of the defecated scat is helpful in determining the predator for the scats. For example, tiger scats are larger in diameter, less coiled, and had relatively larger distances between successive constriction or coils. While the scats of leopard, on the contrary, are smaller in size, had prominent segmentation at smaller distance interval along the single piece of that scat with coil ends. So these features can help in identification of scats of sympatric species found in a particular study area. These pictures are depicting the scats of tiger and leopard. The picture A depicts the scats of tiger and picture B depicts the scats of leopard. The scats of leopard are smaller in diameter and have prominent segmentation compared to the scats of tiger. In addition to the physical features of scats, indirect evidences such as bug marks, scratch marks, hairs can help in identification of scats. In case if identity of the predator was unclear, we should not collect the scats. Each scat should be discarded from the further analysis of the scats. Laboratory analysis of scats. So when you start the laboratory analysis of scats collected from the field, first you soak scats in water for 20 hours to disintegrate, then wash them with running tap water using 1 sieve to separate the hairs from the undigested material such as the bones, hoops, quills, and other things. After the washing of hairs from the scats, dehydration of the hairs will be done using xylol solution prepared in three different ratios by combining ethyl alcohol and xylene in the ratio of 1 is to 3, 1 is to 1, and 3 is to 1. Then these dehydrated hairs are mounted on glass slides in glycerol mounted gel. Then the mounted hairs will be analyzed under 10x and 40x magnifications. So before starting the examination of hairs mounted on the slides, we should prepare the reference slides. Reference slides belonging to all potential prey species in a particular area are prepared before the examination of hairs from the scats. So we should collect the hairs of known prey species from the prey species killed by tigers and that prey species killed in road accident, and we can collect the hairs from the zoos to prepare our reference slides. Features like medullary pattern, thickness and facial configuration of hair are considered for the identification of the hairs from the scalp. After the preparation of reference slides, the hairs from the scats are compared with the reference collection to identify the prey species present in the scats of predator or carnivore species. When you complete the identification of hairs from the scats, then we come to the data analysis. Generally, prey composition of the carnivore species diet is extrapolated in terms of the frequency of occurrence of a prey species in the scats as Fi. Fi is equal to small ni's upon capital N into 100, where small ni is the number of scat in which the ith species occur and n is the total number of scat analyzed. Small n is the number of scats having a particular species. For example, like cheetal. How many scats have the hairs of cheetal? It is the small ni, and it is divided by the number of scats. For example, if we analyzed 400 scats, then it is divided by the 400 and multiplied by the 100. Although the frequency of occurrence of a prey species indicates how common a prey species in the diet of the carnivores, percent occurrence provides a better indication of the relative contribution of the particular species in the diet of carnivores. So it is always recommended to calculate the percent occurrence of a particular species. The percent occurrence of a particular species is calculated as occurrence of a particular species divided by the occurrence of total species or occurrence of all the species multiplied by 100. For example, if cheetahs comes in 100 scats, then 100 divided by the occurrence of all the species into 100. Now the scientists also try to calculate the relative biomass and reconstruction of tiger diet. I am giving the example of tiger's diet in this next section. How to calculate with the example of tiger diets. I am trying to explain how to calculate the relative biomass and number of species eaten by the tiger. Frequency of occurrence or percent occurrence do not provide a representative picture of the consumed proportion of a particular species when the prey size are highly variable, as smaller species having more hair per unit weight produce more scats per unit prey weight consumed, and the results are biased toward the smaller species. Though these smaller species, which has large number of hairs on their body, they contributed a small amount of food or biomass in the diet of the carnivore or tiger, but on the basis of frequency of occurrence or the percent occurrence, they are occurring in more scats. That's why our results are biased towards the smaller prey species. So it is recommended to convert frequency of occurrence of different species in the scats of carnivore to the relative biomass. So now we will learn how to convert the frequency of occurrence in the relative biomass contributed by different species. So various scientists provided the correction factor to calculate this relative biomass. The correction factor developed from feeding trial on cougar by Ackermann et al. In 1984, while for the wolves, it is developed by the Floyd et al. In 1978 and Jetwa and Chala in 2004. Red foxes by Gostin, Sky 1974, and for cheetahs, it is Marker et al. 2003. So these correction factor can be used to convert frequency of occurrence into relative biomass and number of individuals killed by a particular predator species. I am taking the example of tigers. So, because tiger digestive system is comparable or it's like comparable to the cougar. So we are taking the that correction factor developed from feeding trial on cougar by Ackerman et al. In 1984. So this is the correction factor, and most of the scientists for determining the biomass is studies on tiger and leopard are using this correction factor. This is y is equal to 1.980 plus 0.035 x, where y is equal to kg of prey consumed per field collectible scat. X is the average weight of an individual of a particular species. The above equation is used to determine the average number of collectible scat produced by a given predator from an individual of each prey species while lambda I is equal to x over y. X is the average weight. So if we divide the average weight with the y, y is calculated from the that correction factor provided by the Ackermann. Average weight of individual of wild prey species can be taken from the literature, or researcher can measure the weight in the field whenever he or she get the opportunity to measure the weight of the prey species found dead in the field and wild. So multiplication of y with number of scats found to have a particular prey species gave the relative weight of each prey species consumed. If we multiply by with the number of scats, then we can know the biomass contributed by the each species. If the biomass contributed by each species is divided by the biomass contributed by all the species, then it will give you the relative weight of each prey species consumed by the predator in scats. These estimates of relative weight were used to estimate percent biomass contribution of different prey species to carnivore diet by this formula D is equal to A into Y upon sigma A into Y into 100. A is the number of scats having a particular species. Y is the that weight consumed by predator to produce one field collectible scats. whereby this data is also used to calculate the number of prey species killed or eaten by the predator in the field. Thank you.